The transfer window is back open, which means the window is back. I'm Angelina Kelly and welcome to talkSPORT's daily video transfer update and your go-to guide for all the biggest football moves. Coming up, we will get into an update on Liverpool's latest transfer target, Jack Grealish's future and which Manchester United player could be reuniting with Erik Ten Hag. Joining me is European football expert and Bundesliga commentator Kev Hatchard. Hey Kev, great to speak to you. First up, we need to talk about Liverpool. Bournemouth left-back Hugo Ekitike is set to join the club. This has been one in the pipeline for a while. How good of a signing will he be for the Premier League champions? And also, Andy Robertson, it looks like he will be leaving with Gyökeres coming in, potentially to Atletico Madrid. Is this the right time for him? What do you make of these two situations?
Yeah, I think the Gyökeres deal is very exciting for Liverpool and part of what's been a really impressive start to the window for them when you bear in mind that they've already on the verge of wrapping up a deal for Florian Wirtz, which I think certainly people in Germany a few weeks ago would not necessarily have seen coming. So I think that's really exciting for them that they've been able to bring him in. And Gyökeres, as we've seen, we knew he was a talent when he first came to the Premier League. But what's been really impressive is just how consistent he's been and just what a big part of what Andoni Iraola has done at Bournemouth there. So I think that's going to be a terrific signing for Liverpool. And the Andy Robertson move potentially to Atletico Madrid makes a lot of sense because he's exactly the kind of player that Diego Simeone, the Atleti coach, likes. He's somebody that has lots of experience, but he's a real competitor as well. If you think of the fact that when Kieran Trippier went to Atletico, exactly the same experience in terms of he'd been in the Premier League for several years, he was battle-hardened, and he was somebody that Simeone not only came to trust, but actually tweaked the way that they played to accommodate Trippier. And when Trippier left, he absolutely didn't want him to go. Robertson has that ability not only to get up and down the flank, as we've seen, but also to tuck in, as that kind of wide-ish centre-back if necessary. And then that would allow Atleti to maybe push up the right-sided full-back as well. So he gives you a lot of options, Robertson. He's a leader. I think he's become such an important part of that Liverpool squad over the years. So absolutely, it would make sense that if he wants first-team football and Gyökeres comes in, then that's a deal I could see them making.
And of course, up against Trent in the Madrid derby next season, potentially.
Imagine that. Yeah, that would be really interesting, actually. And I think he would adapt quickly. I think he would. I think he's somebody. I know it took him a while to get going at Liverpool, but he's so experienced now, and he's come on leaps and bounds. And I think he would be a real boost for Atletico on and off the field.
Now, switching gears to strikers, Benjamin Sesko and Viktor Gyökeres are the names everyone is talking about in regards to strikers being eyed up by Premier League clubs. Frankfurt's French striker Hugo Ekitike has also been linked with a big money move to Manchester United, Chelsea and Liverpool. What kind of centre-forward is he and where do you think he would fit in best?
Yeah, Ekitike is a really interesting player because he's got the ability to beat people one-on-one. He's got a burst of pace as well. He's somebody that has really exciting skills one-on-one. I think he's not unique, but there aren't many strikers like him. And I think what's actually been really impressive is how he's learned along his career arc so far, because he did really well at Reims. He was linked with Newcastle. He was linked with numerous Premier League clubs. But he made the move to Paris Saint-Germain, and that didn't work out. Ironically, he's the kind of player that PSG probably would now want. But at the time, too many stars, the competition was too fierce. He just didn't get in on a regular enough basis. And I think what we saw once he got to Frankfurt was he needed games. And as soon as he got those, he blossomed. He worked with a really good coach, Dino Topmüller, in Frankfurt. He had that great partnership with Omar Marmoush. But I think what was really impressive, actually, is once Marmoush moved on to Manchester City, Ekitike took it upon himself to carry the fight and be the main man in attack. Now, I think he was trying a bit too hard to start with after Marmoush had gone, but really applauds the idea that he wanted to be that leader in attack. He wanted to be that focal point. So not only is he somebody who scores goals, but he's got a great awareness of what's around him. He can make goals as well. So lots of skill, fairly quick as well. And I think lots of room to grow as well. But he needs to go somewhere where he's going to start. He needs that rhythm. He needs that run of games.
Do you think you look at a team like Manchester United then, he would be a guaranteed starter there?
It's a tricky one because of the situation that they're in, but I think because obviously anybody who goes there, the pressure's on straight away, as you well know. You know, it is a club where those demands are really high because of what's gone on, because of the season it's been. Ruben Amorim has said himself, because he didn't win that Europa League final, he's under pressure. So anybody who comes in, straight away, results are going to be expected. So you never know how that's going to go, but I think if he was that regular starter for United, I think you would start to see that quality come through. But I think it is really tricky to guess with United because I've been really excited about signings they've made before, and it hasn't quite worked out. Anthony obviously didn't do well at all at United, but he'd gone to Betis, got to a European final. Jadon Sancho, commentated on him many times in Germany, gone to United, hasn't worked out there. So it's a tricky football club to judge. But if you're asking me if he's a very talented footballer, the answer is yes.
Another striker, Napoli's Viktor Osimhen, is constantly being linked with a move somewhere, but so far nothing's happened. Are you surprised that a Premier League club hasn't tried harder to sign him?
I think they are trying, but I think he's a really complicated guy to sign because of the figures involved. He's on huge wages. Napoli want a sizable transfer fee, as you would expect, for one of the best centre forwards out there. And I think what's really interesting as well with him is that he's very strong in terms of his own convictions, because he's twice now turned down a move to Saudi Arabia, and it would have been very easy for him to go there and take significant money. But he really enjoyed his time at Galatasaray. He never once, I don't believe, saw that as a step down. He never believed that that was beneath him or a move that, why am I here? He really embraced it and was very, very successful as a result. The Galatasaray fans absolutely love him. Galatasaray, I think, would move heaven and earth to try and sign him on a permanent basis. So I still think that is a possibility that he actually stays in Turkey and actually doesn't join a Premier League club. So I think they're trying behind the scenes, but it's not an easy deal to sign off on.
Now, sticking with, obviously, his club Napoli, they are also reportedly interested in signing either Alejandro Garnacho or Jack Grealish. Which would be the better fit for them? Do you think that there's one that's more likely than the other?
It's a really interesting question, that. I wonder if, because they've tried to sign Garnacho before and it didn't work out, I wonder if Grealish is the more realistic option. Because they did try in January to bring him in. The numbers wage-wise didn't quite work. The overall package didn't quite work. Garnacho seemed to prefer either staying at United or staying in England. So for whatever reason, that didn't happen. And they were linked with Karim Adeyemi at Dortmund. They wanted to bring in somebody to replace Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, who went to Paris and ended up winning the Champions League. So they still want somebody for that side. Garnacho's clearly a player they and Antonio Conte admire. I imagine the ownership in getting Conte to stay have promised him that they're going to make significant signings, and a left wing is going to be one of those. But Grealish does have enormous quality. I know people will say, yes, Garnacho does as well. But you look at Grealish's track record, I understand the season just gone does not underline that, but there's a hell of a player there. And if you look at some of the kind of fixer-uppers they've been in Antonio Conte's career, he feels like a guy that Conte could get hold of and maybe get the best out of. So I wonder whether Grealish would be the more exciting signing for Napoli, but I guess we'll see.
If you had to predict, come September 1st, where they will both end up, is it too hard to call, or could you predict where you think they'll be?
It is always a tricky one in the transfer market because there are so many moving parts to it. There are so many wage considerations, transfer deals. Clubs can come in if another deal for them falls through. I think Garnacho is really fascinating because Ten Hag is pushing for him at Bayer Leverkusen. But the wages, I'd be really interested to see if they can make that work. He seems to prefer staying in the Premier League, but how many takers will there be for him? So I could see Garnacho moving to join Ten Hag at Leverkusen if they can make those wage demands work. So I could see that happening. And Grealish to Napoli, actually, I think has an attraction about it as a story. And I actually think that could work. So let's go for that. Let's go for Grealish to Napoli, maybe.
I like it. And of course, Erik Ten Hag, taking players with him wherever he goes, sticking to his trend.
He can't resist, can he? He can't resist. It's a really important point, actually. I mean, you know this from the United point of view. I think one of the big failings, actually, was allowing him to be too involved in transfer policy. And it cost them in the end. And it cost him in the end, I think. I think it cost him some authority. I think, actually, when you look at his career, Ten Hag, if you just let him get on with it in terms of the coaching, just kind of keep the recruitment away from him to a certain extent, I wonder if that's the better way to do it. And Leverkusen, I think, will be very conscious of that and will make one or two concessions. And Garnacho's a very good young player who they can certainly get a lot out of. But I wonder if they will kind of bring down the shutters on that and say, look, we've got a plan. Let us get on with that part of it.
That's the best thing. As a Manchester United fan, they'll be doing the right thing doing that, trust me. And finally, Arsenal fans, they have been scrolling the internet about athletic club's Nico Williams. They are desperate for the winger. The Spanish international has been tracked by Arsenal, but are fans about to be let down? Are they about to get outflanked by either Bayern Munich or Barcelona?
Well, the Bayern thing's really fascinating because I think they are now very, very keen to do something dramatic because the Wirtz thing has fallen through. And I think that's been quite embarrassing for Bayern, not losing out to Liverpool because Liverpool's a huge club as well. But the fact that they put so much effort into trying to get Wirtz, and Uli Hoeneß, who's the honorary president, was very involved in talking to his camp, his parents, trying to convince them that this was the move. And Bayern were pretty, not 100% sure, but were pretty confident they were going to get him, and they didn't. So now it's about what do we now do to distract from that and show that we're a big club. And Nico Williams and Bradley Barcola are two targets that have been really strongly linked with them. That left wing position is something they do need to improve. Leroy Sané's just left. He's just gone to Galatasaray. So it's now about trying to sign somebody like Nico Williams. So they're very much interested. Barcelona have been interested in him for a long, long time. Wanted to bring him in the summer, couldn't make that work. And so the question always is with them, can they afford it? Obviously, with their success this season, it makes that more likely. I'm sure there are players they'll try and shift out as well to try and make room for him. And there does seem to be a strong link there and a keenness on Nico Williams' part, at least to explore that option. It's not easy getting players out of Athletic Club because they have high release clauses and very high wages for their top players as well. So he's pretty well paid, Nico Williams, and rightly so. So whoever gets him is going to have to commit a fair old chunk of money to do it.
So there you have it, Kev. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Let us know your thoughts on all of that transfer news, and you can stay up to date with our chief football correspondent Alex Crook's transfer notebook on the website talksport.com.